Evening all, we should be live. Thursday at 8:30 as normal. We've already got Wayne Harrison in the chat. Good to see you there, Wayne. Please do let us know. If the sound's okay, I'm on the technology again as Pie Man is playing darts in the local league down in Devon. We've got SD on the line. SD, how are you?
Oh, very well, very well. How are you, sir?
Oh, we're flying. It's genuinely now the Cambridgeshire day, one of my favourite days in the calendar. Away from the major stuff like Ascot and Goodwood, really is a cracking day's racing. Where a real top handicap like the Cambridgeshire, which I know we both love as a race itself, and it really starts to get the 2-year-old pecking order confirmed with a couple of Group 1s and a Group 2, which once upon a time was won by Frankel. And then you chuck in a couple of handicaps from Haydock, and we've got 6 races live on ITV in total. So away we go, SD. I do hope we are actually live, but it appears we are. So we're going to start off with the 150 at Newmarket live on ITV. The first race on ITV is the Group 2 Royal Lodge Stakes for 2-year-olds over a mile. What should really once upon a time be classed as a bit of a where the Derby hopes maybe getting in the pecking order, but sometimes these colts end up in the Guineas itself. So top of the market on debut. This will only be his second start. In comparison, it'll be Masakela's 5th start. But Coroebus travelled really well on debut, was well back that day. All hands and heels, won with ease, if you ask me. The second fav that day was a horse called Saga, who had experience over Coroebus. They went miles clear of the rest, and Saga then won next time out. And looks a good prospect himself. Charlie Appleby is having a great season. Even today, he's had one. Modern Times has won a Group 3, I think, at Newmarket earlier today. Coroebus could well be another star amongst the pack. He's 11-4 with 365. You're going to get best odds on that, and that would definitely be my selection in the 150. What was you thinking for that one, SD?
Well, first of all, this race was so much better when it was run at Ascot. Since they mucked about with the juvenile programme and massacred it and put a load of, petrol on it, set it on fire and ran it at Newmarket. I used to love this race at Ascot. I was there when Benny the Dip won in 1996, the subsequent Derby winner. And obviously, there's some great horses won it. Frankel's won it. Roaring Lion won it.
We were there that day, yeah.
There's a few others as well. Look, I'm not saying Coroebus can't win, but he's a god-awful price, isn't he? He's won a maiden. When you're backing 5-2 shots, I think you want a little bit more substance. Masakala, well, he won all right at Newbury, didn't he? And I suppose he beat Bayside Boy, but he didn't really set my pulse racing. And I thought the Johnston horse, Royal Patronage, owned by the great Highclere, would have a real chance in this. I was very impressed with him at York. You might start saying, "Oh, it's York form," but he's a very simple ride. He'll go from the front, and I think he'll take the beating. And of the three, I favoured him. So I back Royal Patronage.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You might say that Coroebus has only won a maiden, but they have to, or it was a novice race as a matter of fact, but they have to do that. And yeah, he does come here, there's quite a few horses that have got more experience than him. I just thought it was really, really exciting on debut. I've got nothing against Masakela at all. But yeah, I just thought the way Coroebus did it on debut, and like I say, the second has gone on to win pretty well since. So yeah, that was a slight difference of opinion there, but 2 different selections from SD and myself. That's the first race at Newmarket out the way. We're off to Haydock now. The 205 at Haydock is a Class 2 1 mile handicap, a trappy 7-runner affair, I thought. Some familiar names in there. Noble Dynasty, bred in the absolute purple, again for Charlie Appleby and Godolphin. Could be more than decent, but does encounter fast ground for the first time. When we're coming towards the end of September, and it's going to be pretty quick at Haydock for a change. Nuggets in there, we've seen him before. United Front, I think once upon a time was with the O'Brien yard. Cruyff Turner's won at York recently. A Fox, a Hump Cup winner from previous years. Latest Generation is the one I landed on. I just think he's better than a 14-1 shot. Decent bits of form from earlier this year. Has been gelded. Likes quick ground. I mean, you're taking a bit of a chance with a 14-1 shot in a 7-runner race, but I think he's worth a couple of quid, and Yeah, that was the way I was thinking it. Win only, and it will literally just be a couple of quid from me. Did you think anything of this race, SD?
Well, it's always a couple of quid from you, isn't it? If it's a fiver, you have some sort of heart palpitation.
Well,
So,
it's been a long time since I've had a
yes, yeah.
significant winner.
Well, we know. It's like talking to the Samaritans sometimes. Anyway, look, Noble Dynasty could be a lot better than these. He cost 3.6 million quid. He's not been shot yet, and he won at Thirst last time. I'm sure when they forked out all that money, they didn't want him winning at Thirsk, although Thirsk is a fairly nice course. Look, in terms of what's in the book, I think if they've got Nugget fit, I think Nugget will win this. Look, he beat Daniel last 2 runs ago, and there's an awful lot behind him who's gone well since. I mean, Odysseus has, I think, won a listed race on the next start. That Spring Cup form at Newbury is a lot better than the form here. I think the price is about right at 5-2, so I'll not be going mad. But I think he's as good a chance as any. It would surprise me if anything came out of the pack. I think the top 2 in the market probably have it between them. It's a question of how good Noble Dynasty is. But the fact, as I say, he ran at Thirst last time is a bit off-putting, because if he was any good, he wouldn't have been running there. Be under no illusions about that. I probably am being a little bit harsh on Thirst, but
No, I don't think
that's
you
my
are.
line of thinking.
Yeah, I think you are being fair. Noble Dynasty out of the Barwi out of a Galileo Mare. The £5 claimer goes on because Charlie's top boys are obviously at Newmarket. But Nugget carrying top weight here, he's got to give. He's giving quite a lot of weight. To Noble Dynasty, £10 in fact. So Nugget's going to have to be on really his top form to be winning this, and he is off a 147-day break. Like you say, he has got some really good form earlier in the year, in and around Astro King, who's right up there for the Cambridgeshire, beat Daniel, who we've seen win at Ascot, but he's going to have to be on top of his game, isn't he, SD, the Nugget?
Well, I'm put it this way: I'm satisfied Nugget will beat the rest.
Yeah.
Whether or not he beats Royal Dynasty, I don't know. But I wouldn't be rushing to back Royal Dynasty at 6-4, which is why I'm saying, look, just have a small bit on Nugget. Have a few nuggets on Nugget.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, you just poo-pooed me for saying I was going to have a couple of quid on the last race, and you're going to have a couple of nuggets on
yes,
the nuggets.
But my small bets and yours are different.
Well,
£5 minimum we always run to, don't we, Adam?
Yes.
But no, you're about 50p minimum.
Yeah, 50p minimum and 55p maximum for me. Right, on to the first Group 1 of the day at Newmarket. 225 Cheveley Park Stakes, 6 furlongs for 2-year-old fillies. Sacred Bridge is a pretty strong favourite here. She's 7-4-ish. 7-4 generally. Comes over from Ireland and is the headline horse, really. Four races, 4 wins, looking better and better on every occasion. Won a Group 3 at the Coroebus last time with consummate ease and could be special, but I do have a question mark over that form. The colts in that race were basically crap, and the second was beaten. The second from the same stable, actually, in Sacred Bridge's last race, was a beaten fav in a pretty average race at Ayr last week. That was a listed event. I think she came third at that one. But to be fair, Sacred Bridge was that visually good last time and times before that it might not really matter what was in behind, to be honest. Girl Lyons doesn't send over horses to England for a laugh. So, yeah, she could be pretty special. Before I give you my selection, SD, I'll hand over to you first on the Cheveley Park Group 1.
Well, look, I have to say the sprinting fillies this year are just, to me, the UK sprinting fillies are much of a muchness. You've got Zane Claudette, you've got what else is there? Desert Dreamer, and there's another one, this Sandrine, and to be honest with you, none of them really float my boat. The Jolly will win. I think the Jolly wins. Flotus won very well at Ripon in the 2-year-old trophy. Just keep an eye on her. She's a bigger nut job than you after a drink, Adam. She's an absolute head case. They did very well controlling her in the paddock at Ripon, and she took the race apart. The race hasn't particularly worked out well, but I think they think a lot of her. And if she's on her A game, I think she'll be best of the Brits. But look, I've no desire to. We'll come on to the other 2-year-old races in a bit, but I'll give you a bit of a prelude. This Irish thing, whose name escapes me because she's obviously that good. This Sacred Bridge, and Premier Power are virtually Perfect Power at the same price. I would much rather back Sacred Bridge than I would Perfect Power at the same prices, because I think the oppositions are different. So
I 100% agree with that, to be fair. But yeah,
I think she's a bet.
You do. Well, you see, she could be special, like I say, and we are picking holes in an easy 3 3/4 length victory. But that Geocentric, who was second, didn't exactly back it up in a listed race. She was third, never looked like winning last week. So that's the only question mark there for me. I've landed on Sandrine. I've not been with this horse this year, and she's won 3 times and came second once. And I've probably had a bet in all of them races and come up short. But this is the first time I'm with her. I think she's been solid. This as solid as any 2-year-old filly in this country this season. But I do agree, as SD says, there's no superstars. It appears in this division from the UK. She might be the best of an average bunch. You can get her at 5-1. Which I think is a bit of a standout price at the moment with 365. This Sandrine, she gave Zane Claudette £3 at York and came from an unpromising position and was a decent enough second. Now, I was watching an interview with David Probert, the jockey, the other day, and he said that Sandrine was in the stalls a long time at York and missed the kick a little bit, hence why, that's why she was in a poor position at the business end and, was closing. But, Zane Claudette was a decent enough winner. I just think, she leads the UK Challenge. I mean, if you're that way inclined, you could back it each way at 5-1. I wouldn't personally, but there is quite a few runners. But I just think Sandrine would be the one for me against what could be a pretty special horse in Sacred Bridge, but wouldn't be the most exciting bet that I'll place this weekend, to be fair. The next race, SD, we're going to be going back to your place of love, Haydock Park for the 240. 5 furlong 2-year-old, 5 furlong handicap for 3-year-olds plus. I thought this was really, really quite difficult, and there's certainly no selection from me. And I did wonder where your money might be going in the 240.
How boring are you?
Well, you can't bet on every race every day.
Well, you can. Look, I was just itching to take Joelle on. Joelle is too high in the weights. Okay, so when you've got a 3-1 fab, and you come to the conclusion I have, which is Joelle is too high in the weights, you've got to look elsewhere. Joelle's a 6-year-old now. It's off 99. It's only ever won off a mark as high as 94. It'll get beat again. Don't worry about that. Look, I thought this was a really good race. I'll go a bit left field to begin with. I'm pretty sure Premier Power is a lot better than a 95 horse. This is the first start at 5 furlong. Apparently, he's been working well at Newmarket. That's not why I'm backing him. He lost a shoe in the Portland last time.
Yeah, I watched that today. I watched that back in. I think he was ridden by Yoshi Murphy, wasn't he, in the Portland?
Yeah,
and
which
you could
shows
see that
something.
When he lost the shoe, I think it was at like the 2 or 1.5 kind of mark, and he did kind of ease up thereafter. But isn't this his first try at 5 furlongs, the Premier Power?
Well, 5.5 last time in the Portland. This is 5. Yeah, look, he's trying something a little bit different. The jockey booking slightly puts me off. You're not allowed to call jockeys, but I will. Egan's riding at a 4% strike rate, but doesn't give you that much confidence. It wouldn't give you that much confidence if Mishriff was running, would it? Now, the other one I landed on, and this takes a little bit more explaining, is Mounted P. Now, he ran awful last time under identical conditions, so he can't win it like that. But he likes Haydock, he likes Fast Grand, and prior to last time, if you got to put a line through it, but his last 3 starts at Haydock, all on good to firm ground, all over 5 furlongs, he won. He's off a mark of 99. That might be a little bit high. And he's trained by Eb Walker, who will no doubt tell you that he's the next Nunthorpe winner for next year. But Kingscote's on, and I expect a better performance from Mounted P.
you backing two in that, or just the one?
I am backing two in that. I'll just give you a couple of other shout outs in the race.
Oh, so you're backing four then? Okay.
No, I didn't like Be Proud. I thought Show Me If It Breaks runs well. But I thought there was enough to take the jolly on there.
So you're looking at Premier Power, who's currently stand out 13-2, 4 places with Hills, and then you're looking at Mountain Peak 12-1, 3 places with 365. Yeah.
Well, I'd be backing Premier Power to win. I mean, he's the sort of horse he'll either win or he'll not come anywhere. So, but yeah, you could play the race each way with 365 if you're lucky enough to have an account with your Goldfish's mother.
Yeah. Well, all SD's bets will be in the description as usual. Right. This is a cracker coming up next of Middle Park Stakes, Newmarket, 3 o'clock. Similar to the Cheveley Park Stakes, but this one is for the 2-year-old colts. I thought it was a very good renewal. There isn't many top class 6 furlong 2-year-olds that have not turned up here from both sides of the Irish Sea. Possibly Ebro River, the only major absentee that you would have had in here in an ideal world, but 10 go to post. Perfect Power is the 15-8 favourite, sets a decent standard after his Prix-Mornay win in France last time. But I do think he's a little bit short in comparison to some of his rivals, some of them that come from that actual race. Asymmetric is definitely the one for me. You can get him at around 7. I think Asymmetric 7-1 with the 3 places each way. I thought he was the one for me. He ran in that more. Oh, you can get 4 places each way, 7-1 Asymmetric. That would definitely be the bet for me. He hit the front possibly a little bit too soon in France in that Perfect Power race. Perfect Power came from a mile back in the Mornay. Asymmetric also didn't get the clearest of runs. He was slightly unlucky, but that's kind of the way he's ridden. Similar could have happened at Goodwood, but he did win there. And that race at Goodwood for Asymmetric, the Richmond Stakes, in behind that day, 4th, Ebro River, won the Group 1 Phoenix on his next start, then ran a very good race in the Group 1 National Stakes. Thereafter, behind Native Trail and Point Lonsdale. Perfect Power was 5th that day, was unlucky at Goodwood, but he obviously went and won the Prix-Mornay next time. Gizza Sub was 6th that day, went on to be 2nd in the Gimcrack at York, and 7th and last that day was Katora, who won a Group 2 at Doncaster a fortnight ago and actually reopposes here. So I think Asymmetric's got some really quite decent form. I'm not sure how good these Irish raiders are. I'm not sure how good Dr. Zemph, Go Beers Go's not an Irish trained horse, but has been running in those Irish races. Castle Star, Twilight Jets danced every dance this year as a 2-year-old on both sides of the Irish Sea. So I thought Asymmetric was one of my stronger bets of the day each way at 7-1. SD, are you with the Perfect Power at 15-8 or against?
Against.
Good.
Against. Yeah, you got your usual thing of danced every dance. I'm sure you're some sort of Morris dancer in your spare time.
I'll get that in every week.
Yes, yeah, it's getting boring. Anyway, look, all this form ties in a little bit. Everything's been beating each other. To be honest with you, I thought it was a crap race for Group 1. I thought it was absolutely dreadful, and there's no standout performer. They all seem to beat each other at various times, and in such an eventuality, you're inclined to sort of push outside the front runners in the market. I thought, and you're going to laugh at me, that Twilight Jet was the bet, because yes, he's danced every dance, as you say, but he's suddenly beginning to improve. If you look at his last couple of runs, he's certainly improved. He palpably didn't stay 7 last time in the Champagne, where he ran really well. He was 3rd in the Gimcrack, but he's very much now on an upward curve, and you can tell that by his RPRs. It's got 96, 103, 108. If you look at the adjusted RPRs, by the way, he's a pound behind this Asymmetric, which, to be honest with you, I don't like that thing at all. I don't particularly like Perfect Power at the prices. I'm probably saying things you're not allowed to say, but Richard Finer Group 1, do you know what? If he was trained by Charlie Appleby, fair enough, but Richard Finer's strike rate is moderate.
Just on Perfect Power, you might know the answer, but there might be a perfectly reasonable answer. Why is Paul Hannigan not riding Perfect Power? Paul
because
Hannigan's rode him on 4 of his last 5 starts. Christophe rode him last time in France, but yeah.
Well, I don't blame the owner. The owner, you know, he's basically Paul Hannigan, rightly or wrongly, buggered him up at Goodwood. He probably should have won that day.
Hannigan's going to Chester on Saturday.
No, Hannigan buggered him up at Goodwood.
He did.
In a Group 2. They changed the result. They put the marvellous Belgian on, and he was in France.
Well, what I would say though, given the evidence that we've seen at Goodwood in France, and probably again this Saturday, Perfect Power likes to come from off the pace. He definitely did that in France. He came from a different postcode to win that race and won it well. And he tried to do the same at Goodwood and ran up the back end of some horses and was hampered. So, but yeah, it's just, I mean, look, fair play. It might well pay off.
What, if I owned a Group 1 sprinter and Christophe Soumillon had won on it last time in France, and Mr. Hannigan from Warrington had buggered it up the time before at Goodwood, I'd have Soumillon on. I completely support the decision. I don't particularly think Paul Hannigan's that good, which will upset some people, but I don't. This Go Bears Go kart win, Loughnane, I dread to think when he last had a winner. He's out of form. He's out of form. And the rest of them are just in and out. I mean, I'm already at a loss on the race because I backed Ebro River earlier in the week. I thought that had a chance. Of the market leaders, I prefer Dr. Zemf, which is probably in contrast to you. Just a word as well, Aiden in these races, if you look over the years, he can win these with rags. And Aiden having a horse at 16s or whatever it is and one at 28, it wouldn't be a surprise if one of those wins. So, but I back Twilight Jet.
Yep, you're on the Twilight Jet, who's available at a pretty big price. You have to scroll a long way to find Twilight Jet. It's 25 to 1 ish. And you can get 4 places. So, yep, interesting selection from SD there. I really do quite like Asymmetric, and I think he's very, very solid each way. 4 places at 7 to 1. Right, on to the main event. One of my favourite races of the whole calendar. Between SD and myself, we've got a pretty decent record on the race at some big prices. Everyone's probably heard the story about my one of my greatest picks ever, but I won't go into detail on that because that was a long time ago and we need winners now. John Gosden has won this 5 times, so it's no surprise to see he's got the top 2 in the market here. Uncle Bryn was anti-post fav for this for some time. Clear anti-post fav at the start of this week. The only horse in single figures, but then at declarations today, Frankie Dettori has been declared on Magical Morning, and Magical Morning's since halved in price. So we've got currently Uncle Bryn 13 to 2 best price and Magical Morning 8 to 1 best price. They could flip flop quite easily, and either one of them could go off favourite. Take your pick. Rab Havlin's going to be on Uncle Bryn, so you can make of that what you will. Magical Morning has been decent this year. I've backed him a couple of times. But he has got a lot to do off 106. That's a massive ask even for these connections. He's the second top weight in this race. Uncle Bryn is, as I say, he was 5 to 1. He's now 13 to 2, and they might well continue to drift. But I think I've got to be against him. I mean, this is only his 6th career start. He's officially £2 wrong at the weights. Not too sure. They messed about with his distance earlier in the year. I mean, he did have a mid-season break and come and won at Ascot, but I don't think that was as cosy as Frankie Dettori tried to make you think it was. But he was obviously ridden Uncle Bryn at Ascot with this race in mind and his handicap mark or penalties, whatever, in mind. I think the weights might have already been out by then, but he carries a penalty anyway. There's a couple for me. I'll give you my first one. It's kind of obvious. Chichester. Now, I don't like anti-post. I don't like missing out on anti-post gambles, but I just think he's got a really good chance, this Chichester. I mean, he was 80 to 1 before his Ayr win. He won at Ayr 9 days ago. He won that by 6.5 lengths. He's £9 well in here as a result. Good to firm looks the key to him. It was good to firm at Ayr last week, and he's wazzed in, to be honest. I mean, you don't get many class 2 or 3 handicaps being won by 6.5 lengths, and that's what he did. There was a visor on that day. For the first time in a while. It wasn't the first time ever. He had it on a couple of years ago, but it was the first time in a while that the visor made a return. That seemed to do the trick there. The visor stays on. He'll probably be out the back, Chichester. He's going to be ridden by Holly Doyle here. That's his kind of style, but he'll be finishing strong late on. Like I say, he was 33 to 1 on Monday. He was 80 to 1 the week before that, and he's best price 12 to 1 now. Yeah, I don't normally like missing gambles like that, but I do think he's got a right chance, and you can get 8 places each way with Sky at 9 to 1. So that's where my first dart in this race will be going. SD, before you give us a selection in the Cambridgeshire, you just give us a bit of a thought on potential draw, where you might want to be. There's 35 runners. It is officially the biggest, this and the Cesaro Rich, the biggest flat handicap fields of the whole season. Tell us what you think of the draw, and then give us a selection or two.
I'd want to be high. It looks a carbon copy of last year, I think it was Hannigan on Majestic Dawn after calling him. But, yeah, I think it was. Look, Majestic Dawn was drawn high last year, and I washed it. Now, much of this is going to be down to pace. What I will say is more fancied horses to me were drawn high, and there's plenty of pace high. So you don't want to be a Walham, which was last year's winner on the stand side. I wouldn't put things off going low. Just a note on these enhanced places as well. If somebody can be bothered working out the percentage Sky are betting at, have a look, because it will be a lot more than the starting price will be. So mathematically, unless you think your horse is going to get bombed, if you bet him with Sly, take SP. They hate it, and that's the reason they hate it, because the margin goes. I digress. Let's just quickly go through them. I think one of the key points of this race is that if Gosden had a standout contender, you would, from a handicapping point of view, think it was Uncle Bryn, and the fact Frankie isn't on it is a huge negative. I was against him anyway, but it puts you off him a lot more. Magical Morning, the horse he was second to last time at York, Cruyff Turn runs at Haydock. I didn't particularly fancy Cruyff Turn at Haydock. And again, Astro King was third that day. I'm going down the list, and I mean, Irish Admiral won at Redcar last time we were on. This is a hell of a lot tougher, and I just think this race is absolute right for a proper result, and I mean, a proper result. So just a note on Chichester, he's probably drawn lower than I would want. He's got to reproduce a dare run. I'm not saying he can't win, but I think there's probably enough against him, especially with the draw. He's owned by the great Sir Ian Good, who's chairman at Hamilton Park, and owned Penny a Day, who was second in the 1994 November Handicap. Anyway, look, here's what I came down on, and we'll go with the biggest price one first. I thought Naval Commander, where you can get 100, was probably too big.
Jesus Christ. That's going to be the biggest price selection ever on Doubles and Trebles, so fair play to you. Naval Commander, trained by Robin Bryland and ridden by Darren
Brisland. Robin Brisland was a great southern jockey for Gary Moore. Not that long ago.
First time cheap pieces.
Yeah, well, he does wander around a little bit like a shopping trolley, but he's drawn high. He's got a decent record on fast ground. He got chopped up more than a cow in an abattoir last time at Epsom, and he still finished with credit in third, which was a perfectly good run. I think on fast ground, he's only run 6 times in his life, so there may well be more to come. And I think if he was trained by anybody else, he'd be considerably shorter. So I back Naval Commander at 100 to 1. I will probably play him on Betfair as well, because I don't anticipate he's going to come in much. The other one I was drawn to was Power of Darkness. Now, Power of Darkness is trained by the great Marcus Tregoning, who's a fantastic Derby-winning trainer, and has also won this race twice. I'm pretty satisfied. Again, this horse wants fast ground, and he's come down nice in the weights. He's relatively lightly raced for a 6-year-old and has a very good strike rate of 5 from 17. He ran all right at Donny last time, And I think off a mark of 94, there's a bit of mileage in that. Marcus is amongst the winners, and I thought he was worth backing. I think I backed him on one of your accounts today, haven't I?
Steady. But yes, is the answer.
Well, no, I didn't. Of course, you backed him, didn't you? Of course. Sorry. I've probably had a drink this evening. Look, what I'm saying is those at the top of the market didn't really have that va-va-voom for me. So I've just gone completely and utterly left field. And you can play the sexy places, but for God's sake, either bet at SP or take it with Hills or somebody in the morning. I think Ladbrokes are best odds guaranteed from now, and there's 7 places. Yeah. That's probably the way to play the race because, as I say, the bookies price and the percentage they're backing out and the SP percentage will be different, and they'll hate you doing it, but bugger them.
Yeah, So I've already right, SD. So we're on Power of Darkness at 40-1 currently, and then your other one was an 100-1 shot, which is very, very ambitious. Naval Commander. So if any of them come in, you will go down in history on this channel. I've already put up Chichester. But yeah, I mean, the claims are obvious, and he's been the anti-post gamble. Couple of comments in the chat. Lee Jones reckons that the draw that you want to beat the pace is middle to high. Joe Wall fancies top weight Bell Rock and Fantastic Fox. There is each way selections. Berkey is looking at long tradition for Saeed bin Saror, unexposed, Marco Gianni on. And that long tradition got form behind a horse called Sea Sylph. That won at Goodwood, I think, yesterday. So that's another shout there. And Paul Harris has just joined the chat as well, and he's on Astro King. So yeah, Astro King. He's had quite a solid year, hasn't he? Astro King. He's danced a few dancers. Oh, there we go again. Sorry. Yeah, got form. He went close to winning at the Royal Hunt Cup, I think. He ran well at Thirsk in that race behind Nugget. So, yeah, every chance. The Astro King is about 10-1. Ryan Moore is on. My second selection is at a much bigger price than Chichester, and that is Breath Court. He is available as big as 50-1 in the 6 places markets with Bet Victor. You can get more places elsewhere for a lower price. There won't be many better bred horses in this race. He's a half-brother to Group 1 winner twice over. He's out of Bated Breath, the Breath Court. He's had a bit of a disjointed year. He's just got one start to his name. Recently moved stable from Beckett to Bell as part of the Ammo Racing fallout, as his owners do sometimes. But he is a course and distance winner nearly exactly a year ago. That takes the eye. That was a Class 3. He could have hardly won that any easier. There was plenty in hand that day. He is £7. He is £7 or £8 high for that. £7 high for that last win. But he travelled really well, picked up nicely under hands and heels, and like I say, it was over course and distance, and I think that's key. His next 2 starts have been on heavy and soft ground, which he clearly doesn't like. Now, he hasn't won on good to firm, as SD rightly pointed out to me earlier, but Breath Court, 8 of his 10 best performances, according to RPRs, have been on good to firm, with the other 2 on good. So the quicker the ground, the better. I think at some point today, Newmarket went good to firm in places. There's even talk of them watering at some stage tomorrow. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, it's quickening all the time. I just thought, yeah, Breath Court hopefully is fit and ready to go. First run for Michael Bell, and he's 50-1. So that would be the secondary selection for me. SD, you can interject now if you want to poo-poo me about the old firm ground comments.
Well, I did. I told you earlier on that the horse has run 9 times on good to firm and never won. So there we go. He's clearly going to break his duck in the Cambridgeshire. But yeah, good luck to you. Yeah, it's a good race. Anybody asking questions about any horses, or are we off around the world?
Yeah, plenty of love for Astro King in the chat. Wayne Harrison.
He's just a bit exposed, isn't he? I mean, he just, he's, to use your thing, he's danced every dance.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of chances, and he's always there and thereabouts, but I couldn't see him winning a race like this. I just thought, and I know Stouty's won the Cambridgeshire before, but he's running 4 races now this year with 15 runners or more, and he's not won one yet.
He did
and as a
everything
result,
but win the Hunt Cup, to be fair.
well, he's not won it, has he?
Yeah, he was on the.
I think I backed him that day.
Yeah,
Actually,
so did I.
look, he's off 102 now. He'll have to be a Group 3 horse to win this. I'm not saying he isn't, but I just thought there were. I'd be surprised if there wasn't one that beat him. He's probably a good each way bet, isn't he?
Yeah, I like him, but he wouldn't be for me. So right, it's 9:05 now. So around the world we go then, SD. So
I'll just quickly say this isn't. Yeah, I know it ended last week. Go on.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, well, I was going to big you up. You had five consecutive winners in this segment of the best racing podcast on YouTube. It came to an end last week, but we can get the form going again this week. SD, so where are we going in our around the racing world with SD? We will both actually be at Haydock on Saturday, but is there anything of interest elsewhere?
Well, I won't be having a bet in the race, but I want to watch how Art Power's ridden in Ireland. David Allen's on, who's probably a better pilot for him.
Well, we've been screaming out for a new pilot, haven't we? Well,
we have. And maybe, the Bangkok Brigade will finally realise that Sylvester, I don't know, if I was a racing manager, I'd be absolutely screaming at them. But to be honest with you, if he absolutely was in and David Allen gets the ride in future. But nevertheless, we'll go on. I thought there's only two selections. 3:15 at Haydock. It's not very original, but Call Me Ginger's in the form of his life. He absolutely loves rattling quick ground. He wants 6 furlongs. He won the Air Bronze Cup. Can't believe there is such a thing, but there's an Air Bronze Cup.
Yeah,
there
I've
you
had
go.
Comments about that, yeah.
Yeah. Last week he won it very well, and I think he'll win again. And the 11-4 is perfectly fair in what is a moderate contest.
That's the 3:15 at Haydock. Yep. Call Me Ginger is 11-4 with William Hill for that.
Now the other one is, you're going to laugh at me for this. We're going to Ripon, great Ripon racecourse
with the Ridges.
With the Ridges for the Ripon Cathedral City of the Dales Handicap.
What time?
That is the 4:05, and I just thought Manny Gordo ran such a good race in the Great St Wilfrid. He's absolutely stunk since.
Is this the one that used to be with Hannon?
Yeah, I think he was. Yep. He ran a really good race in the Great St Wilfrid. He's been everywhere else since. He's been down to Lingfield. He's been to Haydock. He's been up to Ayr. Maybe back at Ripon. Off a £5 lower mark than the Great St Wilfrid, you might get a different result. He's 9-1 with Billy Hill. I'm going to tell you to take SP on him because I think he'll go bigger, because I think they'll back just another bottle. But I just wonder whether he'll win this.
I like that one. I do like that. I wouldn't have spotted that if it wasn't for you. Yeah, he ran really well in Ripon, and then when I did a preview at Haydock a couple of weeks after that, I put him up, and he finished 7th of 7 that day. But like you say, back at Ripon, off a much lower mark.
Yes, and he's only run there once. Yeah. He's only run there once, so maybe we're trying something that's only been tested once, and it was definitely his best run for some time. So I just thought that was a bet. I tried to find another bet somewhere else.
No, two will do.
Yeah, I have to say that the races at Market Raisin are not particularly good. Just watch, by the way. I'm not putting this up as a bet, people, but just watch. You talk for a minute, Adam, because I've lost the bloody race.
Well, I was just going to say, I'll say as to next week, where we're going to be looking ahead to the Arc. Next Thursday, there's going to be 2 editions. There's going to be the usual Saturday preview edition with me and FD, like we're doing now. And then there's going to be a special edition at probably around 9:30, pretty much straight after, with Andrew Humphrey, who you sometimes often see in the live chat. He's a French racing expert, and we're going to be going through the Arc card next Thursday night as well. So tune in. Double bubble next Thursday.
And I hope you're at Haydock Hump on Saturday. He was umming and ahhing whether to go, but to be fair, he knows quite a bit about France. He knows more about France than Raymond Blanc, that boy. And I've still not found that horse.
Well, I prefer Laurent Blanc. Anyway, Berkey in the chat, in that Ripon race, he likes Bossy Pop, likes Ripon, could be a danger.
Could be, and just another bottle as well. Bossy Pop. What did I have against Bossy Pop?
Manny Gordon. Manny Gordon.
Right. Well, obviously, I had Manny Gordo against it. Does he know on softer ground, Bossy Pop? Somebody will tell me.
Possibly.
Yes, he does. I think he wants a bit of cut. That was why I didn't back him.
So, SD, you've not insulted any females in racing this week, and you've not reported anyone falsely to be dead. So, have you got any controversial comments to make before we wrap it up?
We all I will say is I had a lovely time at Plumpton last week. Next week it's Hexham, where hopefully you're coming. Ascot Saturday, Kelso Sunday.
Hexham Friday, Ascot Saturday, and Kelso Sunday. That is some run. That is. I know
impressive. It'll be absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic.
And I might be going to Hexham.
You might be going to Hexham with me in the car. Yeah. I'm driving as well. There's an incentive to come. Yeah. Look, it's a perfectly good weekend of racing. I just thought the Cambridgeshire was a far wider open affair than the betting suggests. And go high, lads, go high.
Right, we'll wrap it up there. We've gone over time yet again, but all the bets as usual will be in the description. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And double bubble next week. So cheerio, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.
TTFN.